door
This
knocking. We
meeting
go
is
to
being
Tuesday.
recorded.
So she provided us for another address and we went door knocking after that. We went and look for the person.
Nice.
We find out that actually she's living with the sister. At this point, remember the house that was from then? They just had a sign, the health
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
So that's the one we're working on, me and Jordy. So
Oh,
we
okay.
went and looked for her and find out that she's living with the sister. We called the sister because they didn't open the door. So we asked for
Hmm.
the sister and she didn't want to give us their number. So we left a message, of course,
Right. Right.
and hoping that she gonna call us back, hopefully. But if not, we will still like gonna keep bugging the sister.
Yeah. 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 I imagine they're pretty close to losing that house. So it's hopefully, yeah, keep at it. That's awesome. Okay. Cool. Well, good job of like drilling down and looking for the opportunity or different ways of contacting her, you know?
Yeah, and after that, we just went back into the other interviews that we had. So it was a good day.
How did that go?
We didn't have any response, mainly. Um,
Mhm.
there was a guy that opened the door and we kind of freaked out. And me and Jordy were like, because he
Wait.
was like, no, I'm not interested. Oh, no, no, you have
Oh,
to
he.
offer me. Yeah, like, but he was really aggressive and we kind of look at each other and he closed the door on us.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so I was telling Jordy, and like we talk after what happened. I was like, you know what, we freaked out. We didn't know how to handle it, right? Because we could have said like, "What are you
Yeah.
talking about?" So we came with different questions to keep the conversation going.
Hmm.
So Jordy was like, "Man, I want another guy to talk to us like that, so we could like overthink ourselves."
So did you just knock on the door and then from the get-go he was just aggressive, get out of here, I
Yes.
hate you, or what was this?
Yeah, he was aggressive just from the get-go. Like he was like, because we were like, hey, my name is Karla, and we were like around the area, and we no, he goes like, no, I'm not interested in whatever you have to tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but yeah,
Yeah, that'll happen.
but
People are
yeah,
funny.
I was telling Yuri, well, take us as a practice. Let's not give in, like
Hmm.
so we start at talking about what questions we could break the pattern, right? That he
Yeah.
was aggressive. So we kind of discussed that after the fact. And yeah, Jordi was just hoping that we will find another guy like that. So we could practice
What
on the next person what we were talking about.
what was some of the questions you guys kind of thought of, or if you have it, if you remember them,
Like,
what would you do if that happened again?
so if that happens again, I was telling him we should do like what you suggest, like what? What are you talking about? Like
Hmm.
starter?
Yeah, the stammering
Like,
old man.
yes. So I was like, oh, what are you talking about? That was one question that we could have asked him
Yeah.
for him to say something else and keep asking more questions. Or like, well, what do you think we're gonna tell you? I don't know, like questions like that to break him, to confuse him too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's breaking the pattern,
Yes.
Even like Maylee's really good at this too when she's door knocking. And like she'll just like, oh, I just came to ask about your tree. Is that your tree? Like what? What are you talking about? Like, I love that tree. That's a beautiful
Oh.
tree. Like, what are you talking about this tree? What's going on? And so it breaks their pattern,
Uh-huh.
and then you can actually have a an actual regular conversation, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Or another good point is like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Like, but I mean, you have to be sincere when you say it, make sure you're not being a little sarcastic about it. But like, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
And even sometimes just addressing like what their state is like, yeah, I mean, I get if I mean, you don't want to sell to us, it's totally fine, but are you okay? Because we're just knocking on the door. I don't seem very upset for something. I'm pretty sure it's not us because, that didn't warrant it. But so what, are you okay? Is there anything we do to help you? And sometimes that'll kind of put people off too. Like, oh, I was overreacting or, whatever.
Right. The
Okay.
other thing, I'm sorry. The other
Mhm.
thing we ran into it was like we kind of felt intimidated for the looking of the house. They're like so gorgeous house that it's like we
Yeah.
really want to go knock on the door. It's just like so cute, you know?
Well, people that make money, they get in trouble too, just like anyone else. They lose their jobs, they get divorced like everyone else. I mean, it maybe it doesn't happen as often as a Walmart area than versus Nordstrom, but it does happen. So just remember, like when were you knocking with Michelle? No, who were you knocking with, Carla?
Yeah,
Was that
no,
last
it Rosa and Carl.
time? Oh yeah, right, right. But I think in our last bonanza, door knocking bonanza, I think um Michelle was knocking, and there was like $1 million property, and it didn't phase her. She's like, oh yeah, yeah, well, let's see if we can buy it, because it doesn't matter. Like the price doesn't, like,
Oh yeah,
we still help them, you know. So try not to let, easier said than done, right? But trying to let it to intimidate you at this point, if anything, right?
yes.
Okay. No, I love it. Cool. Great. Nate co-hosts as well. Hey, what's up, Nate? What's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening?
Cool. Well, good job, Carla. That's awesome. I mean, thanks for sharing too. That's freaking
You.
sweet. I love it. So last time we kind of talked about how to find a buyer's list. What questions do you guys have? Have you guys tried to, have you had challenges with any of that, or questions can we talk about? It's been since before Christmas, so it's been a little bit, but because also one thing I want to talk about today is like how do you present a deal to someone, or how do you send a blast out? What should you put in the email? Things like that, and how do you negotiate with the seller too, or with the buyer? Because it's still negotiations. It's not as intense as like with the seller, because once you get the seller, and like the buyers are more like, it's the numbers. Let's figure this out. You know what I mean? That it's more cut and dry versus a lot of the emotional stuff that's kind of bagged with the sellers, right? So let's talk about, and feel free to jump into questions like that's in this subject, right? Let's talk about what should we include in a wholesale like email blast. When I say email blast, does everyone know what that even means when I'm talking about that? Yes, Heather knows. Yeah, good, nice. Nope. Okay. So email blast. So once you create a list, whether that's 10 people, 10,000 people, that doesn't matter. Email blast is like sending it out to everyone that's on your list. Okay. So in the email blast, it's or just email. It's basically because I'm sure if you're not sure, you probably received deals from wholesalers. Who here are on other people's or are on other wholesalers lists, right? And if you're not, you probably should get in a couple, at least some of the good ones, right? Because I've bought, okay, Cloud, perfect. So I bought deals from wholesalers too. I bought like the
Hey,
multiple ones
hey,
I bought.
Jared,
Yeah, go ahead, Francisco.
this is Frankie.
Hey,
Hey,
Frankie.
listen, one thing I haven't heard you spoke during the meetings
Yeah.
or on the conversations that I have had with you is about when the buyer gets a deal from a wholesaler,
Mm-hmm.
the buyer has to pay the sellers and buying
Closing.
closing cost
Yeah.
of,
Typically,
of
yeah.
the of the deal.
Yeah. Typically, yeah. Hmm.
Typically, the reason of my question is why and how you guys uh, uh, talk to the seller about they're not paying any of the closing costs.
So how do I say that it's
Yeah.
a lot of times it doesn't even come up, and so I don't worry about it. Then they pay their half, I'll pay my half, right?
Okay.
The seller, that just means more profitability at that point, right? You
Yeah,
don't
it
want to
does,
lay
but
all your cards on the table at once.
because most of the times, most of the last 2 years, I've been getting most of the fix and flips that I've done is from a wholesaler, and
Right.
every single time I've had to pay, sellers and
Yeah.
buying closing costs,
Yeah.
and it makes a difference. Believe me, I
Yeah.
just I just did one that I got it from uh, from a wholesaler, and the other one I did not get it from a wholesaler. I just negotiated with the real estate agent, and I got a big discount.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, wow, this is a big old difference. So, okay, but obviously,
Yeah,
so
it does make a difference.
do you guys let the seller know that they will not be responsible for the closing cost?
Only if I need to, and only will I say that we're gonna that only what I put in the contract that we're paying for closing costs, only if I need to.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah,
it's
because
like, sorry, I'm like sitting on the bed, and so it's not like super comfortable. Anyways, so think about this. We don't want to lay all as you're negotiating, right? Because this is going to go with this. So I'll talk about this in here for a second here, but you don't want to lay down all your cards on the table from the first conversation, from the first objection. You want to hold them to the chest and like when you need it. So, for example, if I'm negotiating a seller financing deal, Nate's seen me do it a couple times, and it's like I don't talk about the down payment unless I have to. If it's like, well, I don't know about the payments, whatever, like, okay, well, what if I do a down payment to so you can do whatever they're trying to do, would that help? Or like, well, I still got to pay off the truck. Oh, you know what we can do? We can make a down payment so you actually pay off that truck, or you know what I mean? So if they're okay, just like taking it from right from the get go, then awesome. Then you're ready. Then you don't then have them pay half their closing costs. Like that's fine. That's a
I
standard, and doing things according to the industry standard, which is like for a regular real estate transaction, buyer pays their half, the seller pays their half. Is here in Utah, and but if it's like if it helps, like, and I'll tell you what I'll do is like the closing cost on this property is going to cost probably close to 4 to 5 thousand, and normally we would you pay this much, I pay this much. I'm gonna pay all of those costs. And if it helps, so like, oh, well, it's not quite with the price they wanted, but then I can throw it in there as like, oh, and by the way, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay for that closing cost, so you don't have to worry about that. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
so yeah, you guys use that as you got to use
It's
that as a
negotiating.
negotiating tool,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
drop down all the information, all the things you can do, unless you don't have to. Like if I'm talking, because you can talk yourself out of a deal. Like just an example, if I'm talking about subject to, and then I go into deed in lieu foreclosure just right away, like they may not be even worried about that I'm not going to make a payment or not about the foreclosure process. That's not even a thought in their head. So if I'm
Hmm.
bringing that up before, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, what does happen with that? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like if I don't have to put a deed in lieu foreclosure, then I don't have to. I don't want to, right?
Okay. Hmm.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So Uh, and your goal, your job is to make the best deal for the end buyer as a wholesaler, the best deal you possibly can. That's fair to the seller, obviously, right? Moral, ethically, legally. We don't want to fleece anybody and screw anybody. We want to make sure they're walking away okay. And but we're still going to negotiate the best deal we possibly can because why? That means we can demand a higher wholesale fee or people are not going to buy it or going to pick it up faster. Then you're not stuck with the deal because let's just say I'm going to pay all the closing costs, but I can't find a buyer, so that seller still got screwed. Versus, let's just say if he's paying his half, I'm paying my half, or we're paying our half, and I do end up finding a buyer because the extra 5,000 was like just enough to make it kind of work. Okay, I think you would rather pay his share versus not having to do anything at all, or not having this problem solved for him or her, this as the seller, right? Anyways, okay. But that's a good point because that is as far as like buyers and showing what's important. Um, if you guys are not on any buyers list, I would recommend getting on a bunch of them. Look at the email from a perspective of the buyer, right? Look at their emails that they send you, and like, oh, I love how they did this. I love how they did that. Jared put that weird thing. I'm not going to put that in there. Uh, all of that stuff. right? You can, it's look and learn from other people that are doing other industry and they're doing well, right? Or at least that, put it out there, right? In a wholesale transaction, in the email blast, right? So it's basically the, hey, this is the deal, this is the investor packet or wholesale packet, however you want to call it. Less is more. You want bullet points, that's all you want. And so I created a GPT. Does everybody not know what a GPT is? Yesterday I was having some challenges with it, so I don't know if it's working still. So for example, here, let me just share my screen, and then we'll. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Hi, Javin.
Spit. Yeah. 1 second, guys. I'm just gonna pull this and share my screen. Okay. Anyways, let me share. Why am I things not working? So if you guys look in, it's not sharing. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Weird. There it goes. Okay. All right. If you're in the classroom in the school, and go down here to like the documents. Oh, I think that's not. Anyways, there is. There it is. Okay, so check off list for Dispo. Dispo is for disposition. That's finding the buyer. Okay. Okay, so this is everyone has access to this sheet right here. So we're just gonna go over this real quickly, just so you have an idea of what you should be going over, right? So less is more. You don't need to talk yourself out of a deal. Bullet points, solid info is perfect. You need the address, uh, room, bath, square footage, the basic information of the property. For the property photos or walkthrough, if you're wholesaling a deal that's on the MLS, do not post the pictures from the MLS into your email blast, because you're just acting as an agent, or they get really pissy about that. So you have to have your own pictures been taken. So which is fine. It's just when you do the walkthrough of the property, just snap pictures. Do snap pictures and then go through again as just a video run through. And make a copy too, guys. If you're gonna, then you can edit it, do whatever you want with it, right? If you're gonna mess with anything, right? So video walkthrough. You want disclaimers throughout the whole email. Okay. So what I mean by disclaimers, it's you're using words like estimated, approximate. So if you're giving them estimated a rehab budget, what do you think it's going to cost to fix things up? You need to estimate. Estimated rehab is X amount. If you did the fix and flip, our projection is this, you're not promising anything particular as far as, but you're giving, like, you're just as a, and when you're putting in disclaimers, you also want to make sure that you're disclaiming that you are not selling this property, but you are selling the rights to purchase this property. Right? So this is a good example. This is a sale of a contract rights only, and not the sale of the property itself. but will the buyer will acquire the rights to purchase the property under the current contract terms. All information provided included comparables, property values are estimates and should be independent, verified. Buyers should conduct their own due diligence. So that's a decent example. Obviously, you check with your attorney or your professionals, make sure that you are covered in all bases when you are sending this information out. But like you want to make it clear, like you're not promising a certain ROI, you're not promising any of this stuff. These are projections, these are your estimates. And the thing is, like, even with when I see people when they're looking at deals from wholesalers, they get the information and it's like, okay, you need to trust but verify. Like never take what any wholesaler, even if it's from me, like if you guys are buying it from a wholesaler and you're looking at my deal, for example, take what I say with a grain of salt. Like trust but verify. Like you need to verify everything that wholesaler is saying, including me. You need to verify everything that I say, that I send out in the email, and then phone calls, everything. Now, am I saying that every wholesaler is trying to fix you and trying to, they're dishonest or whatnot? No, but they could be wrong too. And so you need to make sure that and you guys as a wholesaler, it's not just buying wholesalers. I'm kind of going on both sides of the field, right? If you're as a wholesaler, you're talking to your buyers, because if they like the deal, they have questions about it, if you have the disclaimers in there, like even on the phone call, yeah, we're estimating it's going to be X amount. I mean, yeah, I did a quick little third-party projection on the rehab, and it should be right around there. That seems to make sense about kind of what my rehabs I've done. So even in just conversations of if Karla's going to buy one of my deals, even how you talk to them, you have to be careful in how you say certain things, and this is going to keep yourself out of hot water. So just always throw an approximate estimate. Just cover your assets. Make you cover your butt, making sure you're not putting yourself in a bad position. I mean, 99% of the time, there's not even come up with any issues with this kind of thing. But that one time it would become an issue, you're going to be glad that you got into the habit of saying those kind of things and putting into your email blast of those disclaimers. Does that make sense, guys? Do you have any questions about that, disclaimers and what you can't say, and promising certain returns, certain things like that? Does that make sense? Yeah, everyone? Clear as mud? Good.
Yes.
Are
you using an certain app to do your deals, like the way you put them in the deal area on the school?
So for example, you guys have access to this right here. So it's this right here. So you click on that, you'll get to this wholesale email blast created by me. So I put in there everything. So what you do is you can just basically get the data from. So like, okay, what do I need? Okay, I need address. Okay, you put in the address here. So okay, I'll show you. And you can just do it any way you want to make sense for you, right? So I'm gonna do here. Let's do it this way. Okay. All right. So now I clicked on this link here and got me to this, the wholesale email blast. I'm gonna say, okay, I got a new deal. I need. You can just skip this step and still be fine. Blast. So okay, what's the first step here? We'll just together. We'll do a little proxy one. Okay. Address. Address is 123 Fake Street in Salt Lake City. For some reason, I am screaming it. Okay. All right, rooms, 3-bed, 2-bath. Photos not included. Okay. ARV 600K. Suggested purchase price or purchase price. We'll say 400. Rehab. And by the way, this isn't perfect. I need to tweak it a little bit too, but it's going to give you a great way to start, right? So we'll just say, 90,000 because yeah.
Yeah, because I click on that link and I copy and paste as well, and it's not
It
working
doesn't pull
for
anything
me.
up?
It just says page not found. So I just did the
Yeah.
same.
Bollocks.
Yeah.
Maybe because I own it and that's why it goes into me, but for everyone else, it doesn't do that. Yeah. So that makes sense. I'll work on that. I'll figure that out. Okay.
Okay.
But what I could do, I can just create a prompt for you to do. Okay, yeah, I can do that too. I can put on here prompt to, and that's if you wanted to use AI. I freaking love it. Like I use it like daily. It's like I'm on this and we're not side west like crap ton. So okay. Well, I'll fix it. We'll figure something out. Closing date, let's just say January 15th, 2025. And what else do we need to do? So rehab the comps. No comps. One point. That's too much in there. So closing date. When are offers? So offers are due by. Offers due or due by date, right? And it depends on your deal and how much time you have. So if you have 2 weeks to closing, it really depends on. You don't want it too far out because then people will forget they're not doing. Oh, I got 3 days to put my offers in, or I got all this time to put my offers in. You probably want to do it anywhere from 3 to 4 days, depending on where it falls of the week. Factor in the weekend. Well, 3 business days. That's what I should put actually. 3 business days after the email is sent. It would be a good, like all finals need to be received by that date. Okay. So that'd be, let's say, whatever. 12/31. Cool. How to see the property. So by appointment. Now, people are going to want to look at the property, right? So it varies, and there's different ways you can do this, right? So you can, one, just by appointment. So if it's vacant and I can throw a lockbox on it, that's my favorite way to do showings, because then it's like I don't have to do any, I don't have to like leave my house or do anything. Like I have a lockbox code. And do not put this, and I put this in here as well. Never put the lockbox code in the email. You need to control who and when people show up. So you want to make sure that if you just throw it out there of the lockbox code, then you have zero control of who's going, when they're going, and you have no idea to follow up with them too. If you just throw it out there and like 5 guys went out there, looked at it, and then they got busy, they were going to put an offer and they totally forgot about it or whatever, you could potentially miss out on a potential buyer, or they're going to do shenanigans. Who knows? There's a lot of there's people that can do shenanigans, which for the most part that doesn't happen. But why put yourself in that position? So you can put in there, hey, this property is vacant. Reach out to me for showings and times, and then they can, okay, hey, I want to look at it. Okay, when are you going to go see it? Today at 4. Okay, great. So yeah, this is the lockbox location. I have your name, your information. I know Frank is going to go look at it today at 4. So I know he went there at that time. And then like someone comes looking at it at 5, the key's not there. I know I can talk to Frankie. Like, hey, where's the key? What's going on? Or, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. That's if it's vacant, right? You can do open houses. Vacant houses, I honestly, I just do the lockbox. I mean, people are a big fan of open houses. I'm not terribly a fan of open houses, but other wholesalers like it. So each their own. I will do open houses if they live in the property. So I'm not constantly having the person going, like leaving the house and doing like a showing or whatever it is, that they're not going back and forth. So if someone they live in the house, then I'll just try to like that next Saturday from or you can even do it during the week. That's fine too. From like 11 to 1. 2-hour block's good enough. And if it's during the week, if you guys wondering like, well, when should you do it? Like if it's like during the week, maybe only have like I need to find a buyer within the next 5 days, otherwise the deal's like gone. So I don't have it doesn't fall on the weekend. So you can do it in the middle of the day, 11 to 1. That's totally fine. And if you're like, well, what if you have to work? Well, most of these guys that are going to be consistently buying deals, this is the full time anyways. So they either can send someone to go take a look at it, their contractor or whatever, or they can go themselves because they don't typically have day jobs. The ones that are like the buyers that you want to be selling your deals to, because you're going to be selling multiples. Those are. Mike, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
We hear you fine.
Yeah.
You sure that? No? Well, that's pointless. Okay. Anyways, what was I just talking about? Lockbox. Oh yeah. So yeah, the buyers, like the flippers, whether they're handhold, whatever, that's not normally an issue to do it in the middle of the day on a weekday. Like it's totally fine. Okay. So that's kind of how I set up, like as far as like how to get access to the property. It really depends if it's vacant or not, and that makes sense. And when you're talking to the seller, just from even before you get under contract, I a lot of times I'll tell the seller like, hey, listen, so I don't got 500,000 in my back pocket. I mean, I work with partners, and that way I can do multiple deals instead of just using my money on one deal. I can do 10 at a time if I needed to, because I work with other partners and whatnot. So over the course of the next 5 days, I'm going to need access to the property so that I can have my partners come in, my contractors come in and give me estimates. And so we can do all that into like a 2-hour block, like on Saturdays, to try not to buck you guys as much. We have to come and look at it after, depending on the circumstances, but we can kind of throw in that block. And if it's vacant, like I just need access to the property. Give me a set of keys, and I'll put a lockbox in there so my partners can come in and out when they need to, and I can come in and check things so we don't have to bother you. So that's how I handle it with the seller wise, where so I'm not just like springing on the last minute, like, oh, you got to see coming in, what's going on, Does that make sense? All right. One thing I do like to add in is like, because it never hurts. Remember, I'm leaving here with something, right? Need a partner. If you need help taking down a deal, let me know. We can partner with people. We partner with people all the time. If you are working with another wholesaler, make sure that they know. Because, so when I say work with another wholesaler, maybe you are sending out a deal, but you're sending out like you have your buyers list, but like your buyers list is still kind of small, and the guys that are buying your deals, they're really into fix and flips. This is like a rental. It's like, okay, hey Jared, can you send this out to your list too? Or maybe it's like, hey Nate, I'm having a hard time finding this deal. Can you send this out to your list? And so whatever scenario that is, you want to let people know that. And the reason because they're gonna most investors, they're on multiple wholesale lists. They're probably on mine and Nate's list. There's some cross contaminations, even though we're like he has people that I have and vice versa. I can, hey Nate, go send it to your list. Most of them are gonna be cross-referenced. Or gonna be cross, so like they're like, oh, okay, I see this deal from Nate, I saw from Jared. Wait, whose is this? So then there's like, then they have like the eyebrow raise, like, okay, well, who really has control of this? I don't know. It seems kind of fishy to me. And so you're just starting it with doubt. And even though it's a good deal, they may not want to, may want to jump into it. So I just put in a little note in there in the email, right? If we're working with another wholesaler on this deal. So you've seen it out there. Wait, what is this? Oh yeah, here it is. I'm working with another wholesaler on this one. So if you've seen this deal somewhere else, that's no big deal. Just reach out to me because I love you. You don't necessarily have to put that last part in there, but I would recommend is put it because and then something, doesn't matter what. Because if I'm sending a deal out, and let's just say it's Karla's deal and she needed help finding it, and I would rather the person contact me because then I brought the buyer, and that means I'm going to get that cut in that deal versus not. Or I have Karla send it out to her list, and I if they're seeing my email, but they call Karla because she seems nicer, I would rather them call me, not to, because then I don't have to share the deal. In fact, in that scenario, because I fund the buyer, right? So you're like, hey, yeah, we work with other wholesalers. If you've seen this, just reach out to me because I'm awesome. It's a psychology. If you put a because behind something, or because, and the reason honestly does not matter, they're more likely to accept. They've done some studies. I'm going to go through the studies, so I'm not going to try to repeat it. But yeah, just throw a because in there, and I love you because that's my personality, right? Yeah, cheeky a little bit. Okay, and always double check for errors. I can't, guys. Even recently, I threw out a deal and I forgot to put the address in the deal on my blast. Like I just didn't put the address. Like it was the biggest new mistake ever. And again, this is like a couple weeks ago. I did that. Like an idiot. So it's okay. That happens, which is not necessarily a bad thing too, because if you do small errors in there, it gives you an opportunity to re-blast it out, which is kind of cool because then more people are going to see it. But okay, so closing date, DM me or text me for lock box code. Perfect. So I'm going to put all the information in there, and this is going to give you a rough idea on what it looks like and what it is. You guys haven't seen something like this, okay? So it's 123 Fake Street. The subject line is very important. Hot deal in Salt Lake City, contract for assignment. Don't miss out. I probably would tweak this a little bit, but it's basic stats, right? Address, beds, what the potential. Now they should have automatically put in their estimated ARV, which is a little frustrating, but whatever. Purchase price 400, estimated rehab there, at least one good thing. Closing date, that's closing date. Offers due by this time. Text for lockbox code. One in, let me know, make this happen. Email, call me. You put the information, all the stuff. Like that's as simple. I didn't put any pictures in here, but that's a simpler the better, in all honesty. And there's plenty of people that I know that don't put in the estimate rehab. They just don't want that noise. They don't put any like deal analysis. The bigger you get, more buyers you're sending it out to. It's almost like less information you want to throw out there, because then you're exposing yourself more for potential challenges where like, oh well, Jared said this was going to be the ARV was $600,000. He said that, and or the rehab was going to be $90,000. I mean, pretty much in the clear, especially with other disclaimers and whatnot. But it's still, you got to make sure you're covering all bases, right? So the bigger you go, kind of the less information you throw out there. But you want to make sure it's still kind of sexy and attractive. Like, what are the things that you would want to know in this deal that would make you want to buy it? So maybe it's like on this one, what I would, because like if the ARV is 600 and they're going to buy it for me, and I'm including my fee on this, for example, right? So I'm not adding that in as a side note or anything like that. Like maybe I have it under contract at 380, and I'm going to throw it out there at 400. But in the subject line, I can say something like hot fix and flip deal with approximately or estimated $200,000 spread. Or if it's creative financing, put it there, like killer subject to deal, $10,000 down. You want people to open up the email. That's important. It's huge. Any questions so far about like email blasts and sending out your deals? I know it's a lot of information at once, but thoughts, questions? Pretty simple, right? When do you guys think we should use a company or an email platform. What do you guys think you should do that? Does that make, you guys know what I'm asking? So there's plenty of other mail of platforms like MailChimp. I use MailerLite, where it's basically you can send out a mass emails to thousands of email lists. Because if you just go into, for example, like Google, like just your Google email, for an example. So let's just say I'm going to compose this email. Come on. All right. The most people you can send, the most you can send out is no more than 500 in Google email. So once your buyer gets past once your buyer's list go past 500 and or sooner, you can do it from day one. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But once you get past 500 in your buyer's list, then you have to go on an outside platform. Like you have to go on an outside platform. You can send multiple emails if it's like, because it doesn't cost any money to send anything from Google. I can send Nate an email right now. It doesn't cost me anything than other just maintaining my Google account. And so this is a way to keep things cost relatively low or zero. And let me guys give you a little trick here, okay? Right? So, and this is for Apple users, like, I don't know, the L sucks. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm just going from Google, okay? Apple's fine, I have some family members that use Apple, so it's okay. One thing, honestly, guys, like side note, squirrel moment, the video quality like is the only thing it's even making me consider switching. Even though the Android pictures are like, or the cameras are better, but like for their software that makes the pictures so much better than an iPhone. Like it's freaking crazy. Contact. Okay. So, and jump in here, guys. Here's what I did before I even got into like MailerLite or a third party email list. Okay. You can when you're adding someone, so like you say, like we talked about before Christmas, how to find how to grow your email list or how to grow your buyers list. So I got 20 emails from, because I posted on a group. They said, hey, great, awesome, add me to your wholesale list, Jared. Sweet. What I did, where'd it go? What deuce? Oh, I opened the wrong one. Okay. So what I did, I opened to my Google contacts. Okay. As soon as it wakes up. Come on, girl. Okay, we are. Okay. Open my Google contacts, and I would just like, okay, so create a contact, easy peasy. What is going on? I think my Wi-Fi is being weird. Okay, so create a contact, sure. And I can put their information in, so buyer one, and then their fake email, fake@email.com. Okay. Now here's the thing. Here's what you do, right? Okay, that's nothing new. It's like you would put any other contact. You can add a label, and so I can add it. You can create a label. It's like wholesale list, whatever, right? So and then I add it to that label, apply. Now buyer one is in a wholesale list label. I save it. I'm done. Got the email, his name, nothing else I need to do. When I'm going to send out that email, so whatever, let's skip it. Like what I do is this. This is how you do it. So you're not also giving away your buyers list at the same time. I'll send the email to myself. And then I will BCC my wholesale. So I'll just I'll start typing in wholesale, and we'll just say the wholesale list. There's 438 in that little list there. And it pops it in all of those people, and then I can just send the email like that. Now, it's important that yes.
What's BCC?
That's what I was about to talk about. Yes. So when you get an email from someone and it's like CC'd, it's just CC'd, you can see who is CC'd on the email, right? The answer is yes.
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 So yes,
Yeah.
you can see anyone that's CC'd in the email, and they can see who sent it. It's BCC is, I don't know what the B stands for, I forget, but it means that no, it's like a hidden. No one sees any other person that was sent. They can see the sender and themselves, and that's it. So I'm sending this email out to 400 people, but the only emails they're seeing in the list is mine, because I'm sending it to myself and also the sender, but that they are BCC'd in the email, like they're CC'd. Like, so basically they got the email, there it is. And they're not seeing everyone else that's in this email. Okay, this is free. There's no extra cost here. That's it. You don't need to. Oh, hey Jen. She's not even in the wholesale games. That's right. Shame on her. Wrong Jen. Right, the one I was pointing at, the Frost. But does that make sense, guys? So that's how I managed my wholesale list for years. Was that way. Was just throwing it up there like that, where I was able to send it to 434 BBCs and all those, right? Bam, done. And then when you get to a point, the cool part is, like, when you do get to the point when you're like going through the challenge with doing it this way, you don't get to see your percentage of how many people are actually opening your emails. So MailChimp, MailerLite, they will show you those things. They'll show you the percentages. They'll show you, like, when I send out my emails, they analyze it. So I do smart send, where they will send it to that person when they are more likely to open. So there's data out there where when's the, like, if I'm a morning email checker, because I'm opening emails in the morning, that's the data's out there. And so they will send the email to that person in the morning. Or like I'm an afternoon checker, they're gonna make sure that email gets sent to them in the afternoon. So it's on top of the box, it's the first thing they're gonna see. So those are some pros on using paid services. I wanna show you how to do it for free. This is how you do it.
Here, that B stands for blind carbon copy.
Oh, blind. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Okay, so blind carbon copy. Yeah, perfect. Right. So make sure, don't do CC, do BCC, because otherwise you're giving everyone's information out. Like, if I got that, like, oh cool, I just added 400 more people to my wholesale list. Sweet, thanks. So maybe send those to me in CCs and everyone else BCs. That's fine too. And again, and I mentioned this before, like, it is important, like, as you're growing your business, as you're growing your list, you're gonna have to clear out crappy lists. Just having a big number doesn't matter. It does not matter. So when you are getting in the multiple hundreds, 500s, 1,000 buyers, then I would definitely recommend get a third-party website. Make sure you're making money first. Start making money, then buy the third party, or not 30. Pay the $30 subscription or whatever it may be, depending on what you want to, depending on what you're doing, and then you can see because a lot of these people, like, they just don't open it, like, ever. And now you're going to spam everywhere, because 50% or like 80% of your emails are not being opened. Oh, Google, the email gods are going to think that it's this is spam. So they start throwing, even if Nate would have been opening my emails, they'll start sending those emails to his spam. So it's important to, like, so someone doesn't open up an email in like last 6 months, you're off the list. Done.
Jared,
You're not helping me, you're hurting me. Yes, go ahead.
I had a question. So when you have, like, you send an email and somebody unsubscribe from your emails,
yes,
but then you send it again differently, they will receive it, or the system automatically remove them from your mail?
So if you're using the third party that actually has the unsubscribe button,
yes,
then it'll remove them from the list automatically.
For all of your camps, all of them.
Depends how you have it set up. So it's like they're removed from that list. So I have a buyer's list. Like, so for example, Mailer Lite, I have my buyer's list. I have my building and community list. So there's some people that are cross-referenced, right? And so like they're going to stop receiving my buyer's list. In fact, I think I actually have a form where they click on it and it'll show them like, so you don't want any emails from buyers. You still want to learn about events and real estate community. And so I think it gives them an option to drill down a little bit more. And so it depends on what kind of program you're using, what plan you have, so definite maybe, because there's a lot of depends that go in there. But for the most part, third parties, if at the very least, they're off that particular list if they hit the unsubscribe button.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely. And you can, you can always put in, I mean, and people like, even when I'm doing like the Google, the free way of doing it, people are, hey, take me off your list. Okay, cool, awesome. I'll just go into, how I do that is I'll just manually go into their contact that I made and remove the label. So they're off that label. So like I still have their contact information, but now when I type in wholesale and I hit the wholesale list, they're not going to be on it because I removed that label from them. If that makes sense. So you're doing the freeway. What other questions we have as far as like sending out the initial blast of how to do sending stuff out? We may want to talk about this more on Monday too, because there's a lot more into it after this too. Because then there's also like text message blasts you can do on top of that. So what I do, I'll send an email out to everyone on my list. But then, for example, let's just say I have a Utah County deal, like in Provo, whatever. Like there's one Provo that we're working on. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll have I'll have my Utah County buyers, and a lot of times I'll send them I'll have the same ChatGPT. Okay, great. Make me a simple text form information about this deal, and then I'll text them the information on this deal. So in case they miss, if I know the person is buying in Provo, and I want to send them a text, hey, by the way, there's this deal I think you might be interested in. I know you're a Provo buyer. Here's this information. Let me know. Because I've had people buy deals from me. They maybe didn't see the email or whatever happened. They're not like great email checkers, God knows what. But then they got my text message like, oh yeah, this is great. Let's do this. So you're also missing out information by not getting their phone numbers too. So ask for their phone numbers when you can. I mean, like you're doing like through Facebook groups, things like that. That's a little bit different, right? And that's fine. But as they start responding, you're like, hey, what's your phone number? So I can add you to my text text message services. So when I send out a deal, I can text you the information. So you can slowly kind of add that in there.
Quick question, Jared. When you start getting ready to send these email blasts out, how do you determine your closing date?
But by what the contract says.
Oh, okay, so you write it into the contract.
So we determine that with the seller,
okay.
Yeah, with the seller, right? And your first couple, give yourself as much time as you can. Like I typically throw my closing date like 2 weeks out. If your first couple, as you're building your list and everything, put it for a month, if possible. Sometimes like the time crunch is there, so that they really need to close next week. Okay, I mean that it is what it is, right? But if you can give yourself more time, and usually it's not like I gotta close. I'm not like I don't normally like stop auctions. Usually I give myself more time than that. I try to catch them before it gets to that's close to like my auctions next week. Like Alinda, she's amazing at that, stopping auctions, phenomenal. But she really likes to get people at the deadline. It's like either crap or get off the pot, you got to sell. And that's great for her. She does a phenomenal job at it. But me, I catch her beforehand. Or if they're getting maybe divorced, whatever, or a lot of times they can do longer than the 2 weeks. So then give yourself that time. Give yourself the 30 days, which is pretty for a traditional transaction. That's pretty standard. 30 days, yeah, that's actually really good. Perfect. That's typical. Even to get financing takes that long. So it's like, great, give yourself an extra 2 weeks. And then if the buyer's like, oh, great, if you find a buyer in the first week and he's ready to go, awesome. Let's close. Let's close in next week. You know, obviously check with the seller. Like, if we close early, is that gonna be a problem? Would that be something you want? So you may have to wait till the actual closing date, but usually it's on or before that date is typically what they have. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Laura?
That does. Thanks.
All right. Okay, yeah, Pete put it, yeah, there you go. 9 carbon copy, perfect. So text message blast is also a good thing. Another app that I use, and it's super cheap for text message blasts. I like this app. I'm not affiliated with it, but I use it. I like this app because it's $6 a month, so like practically nothing. But you can put in a pre-selected message, and then it puts in their name, or if you want, and then it sends it through your phone, so they don't need to opt in to send it off. So I use like a texting service. To be compliant, they have to opt in. So like if I have this text messaging service and I want to send a text message to Nate and Karla, they have to like text the number, or at least opt in to start receiving those messages without me getting in trouble with, you know, the government wise. But if I'm sending individual text messages with my phone, there's nothing wrong with that. So what it does, like, you can, the app is Reach. I think we talked about this before, but it's Reach, and so you basically just put in your text template, and you know, you can put in the deal, all the information in there. Try to keep it shorter than not, where you want them to respond back and start having a conversation with it. And then you're pushing a button for every text message. So if I have 100 people I'm sending it to, like, block away 15, 20 minutes, because you're just gonna be pushing that button nonstop. So yeah, that's a good way. It's a good way to get some more eyes on your deals. Okay. And as far as negotiating with the buyer, we don't have time to get into that, unfortunately. But we can do that next week too. Or not, yeah. What is today? Friday. Yeah, we'll get into next week. Phenomenal. Any other questions before we call it a day? Nothing? Okay. Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you. You're amazing. I'm excited to get things going. Sweet. Okay. Well, adios, muchachos. I'm gonna peace out.
Thanks,
Thank
Jared.
you, Jerry.
See you guys. See you Monday.